Alright, so here's some more practice of using a number line to find a measure. And the way we do that is we'll find the measure of, like, let's say dg. It'll be dg is equal to the absolute value of x1 minus x2, like so. Right. So dg, the measure dg is equal to the absolute value of d, which is -1, and then g, which is 8, so minus 8. Absolute value. So 1 minus 8. So that's going to simplify to the absolute value of -9. And then we know the absolute value of a number is the positive version of that number. So it's going to be positive 9. Right? We'll do the same thing with EF is equal to the absolute value of 0, where E is, minus F, which is at 3. And that's going to be the absolute value of -3. And that's going to simplify to positive 3, right? So we have AG, so it's equal to the absolute value of A, which is -9. And then G, which is 8, so it's going to be minus 8. So then that's going to equal to -17. Absolute value -17 is equal to positive 17, because the absolute value of a number is the positive version of that number, right? Now let's do DE. It's going to equal to D, which is -1, absolute value of -1. And then E is at 0, so minus 0. So that's going to simplify to -1, absolute value of -1. And the absolute value of -1 is positive 1, right? And you can see here that the distance from D to E is 1 unit, right? 1 unit away. Alright, so now things get a little bit more complicated when we're talking about distance between points. Points are in 2 dimensions, right? So we need to use a distance formula, which is equal to x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, like so, right? So what's our x1? This is x1, y1, x2, y2, like so. And we'll just go and plug into our formula, right? So we'll get d is equal to x2 is 6 minus 0, square root 6 minus 0 squared plus 8 minus 0 squared, right? So y2 minus y1 squared, 8 minus 0 squared. So we'll go ahead and simplify, and we'll get the square root of 6 squared plus 8 squared, like so. We'll go and work that out, and we'll get 36 plus 64. We'll simplify that, and we'll get square root of 100. And then we'll do a prime factorization of 100, right? So we'll do 2 goes into 100, so that's 2. 100 divided by 2 is 50. 2 goes into 50, so that's 25. 5 goes into 25, so that leaves a 5, right? So this is the prime factorization of 100. And so we have 2 2's and we have 2 5's, so we can pull those out. We get 2 times 5, and that equals to 10. And that's our final answer here. Okay. And of course, you could have came here and said, well, 2 numbers that multiply to 100 are 10 times 10. So then I pull out the 10, right? But I did it the standard way. Let's go ahead and do number 6 is going to be d is equal to the square root of x2, which is -9, minus x1, which is a -12 squared, plus y2, which is 6, minus y1, which is 2 squared. And so that's going to simplify to -9 plus 12 is going to be positive 3 squared plus 4 squared. So that's equal to square root of 9 plus 16 is equal to square root of 25. We'll do a prime factorization of 25, and it is equal to the square root of 5 times 5. We have 2 5's, so we can pull one out, like so. Okay. So for number 7, it's the same thing. So we're going to do square root of 6 minus 11 squared plus 2 minus a -12 squared. So this simplifies down to -5 squared, right? So square root of -5 squared plus 2 plus 12 is 14. So 14 squared. So that's equal to square root of 25 plus, what is 14 squared? Let me go ahead and open up a calculator. So it's 14 times 14, 196. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to go ahead and add that to 25, 221. So it's equal to square root of 221. And we could do a prime factorization of 221, but I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like so, okay, and call it a day. So that's how you do these practice problems.